You watched the timeline you had in your head quietly expire. Maybe it was 25, maybe it was 30, maybe you didn't have a hard number, but you had a feeling, a sense of how things were supposed to sequence, and the sequence didn't happen. The relationship that looked like it was going somewhere didn't go there. The season you thought was a detour turned into the main road. And somewhere along the way, you stopped calling it a delay and started wondering if it was just your life. And the hardest part isn't the loneliness. The hardest part is the silence from God about it. Because you've prayed. You've been obedient in other areas. You've watched people who seem far less prepared than you walk into exactly what you've been believing for. And you've had to sit with the question you don't want to say out loud in church. Is God withholding this from me? Or is he doing something I can't see yet? This video is for the person who has started to wonder if the wait is just loss. Because I want to show you something today that I think will change the way you see this season entirely. The blessings I'm about to describe are not the ones people put on greeting cards. They're not you're learning patience or enjoy this season. Those things may be true, but they're not what we're here for. What I want to show you are the deep, structural, irreversible blessings that God hides specifically inside a delayed marriage journey. Things that cannot be built any other way, that you will carry into your marriage when it comes, that will make what God brings you far more sustainable than anything you could have built on the timeline you originally wanted. Blessing 1. God is building in you a capacity for covenant that early love cannot produce. There's a man in Scripture named Jacob, whose love story most people read as romantic. He saw Rachel at a well, loved her immediately, and agreed to work 7 years for her father Laban in exchange for her hand in marriage. 7 years. And Genesis 29 verse 20 records something remarkable. So Jacob served 7 years to get Rachel, but they seemed like only a few days to him because of his love for her. Most people read that and say, what a beautiful love story. And it is. But I want you to look at what those 7 years actually did to Jacob. Because Jacob, when he first arrived at Laban's house, was a deceiver. He had stolen his brother's birthright. He had manipulated his father. He was clever, self-serving, and spiritually untethered. But 7 years of labor, 7 years of waiting for the thing he loved most, produced something in him that was not there when he arrived. By the time he left Laban's house, after 14 years of work and a direct encounter with God at the river Jabbok, Jacob had become Israel, a prince with God, the man who wrestled the divine and would not let go without a blessing. The delay did not slow Jacob's story. The delay wrote his character. Here's what I want you to understand about covenant love, the kind that lasts, the kind that can hold the weight of real life, the kind that doesn't dissolve when the feeling fades. It requires a self that has been tested, not just a self that has healed, but a self that has been pushed past convenience and found something underneath the impatience that is stable and rooted and genuinely capable of choosing someone on the days when choosing them costs you something. That is not built quickly. That is built in the delay. Most early relationships, the ones that form before this work is done, are built on the energy of new love, which is real but not sufficient. Because there will come a day in every marriage when the energy of new love is gone, and what remains is either character or chaos. And the people who built on character, who were refined in the waiting, are the ones whose marriages survive that day. If you are in a delayed marriage season and you have found yourself growing in ways that surprise you, becoming more patient, more self-aware, more capable of sitting with discomfort without running, you are not just becoming a better person. You are becoming a person whose covenant capacity has been structurally expanded. And God is not going to waste that expansion on someone who cannot meet it. Blessing 2. You are developing a testimony that will become someone else's lifeline. In John chapter 11, Lazarus died. Not slowly, not ambiguously. He died, was buried, and had been in the tomb 4 days before Jesus arrived. And when Mary fell at Jesus' feet and said, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died," what she was saying underneath the grief was, you delayed. You knew and you waited. And now it's too late. And Jesus wept. I want you to sit with that for a moment. Jesus wept not because he didn't know what was about to happen. He already knew he was going to raise Lazarus. He wept because the pain of the people he loved was real to him, even when he was holding the answer in his hands. And then he called Lazarus out of the tomb. Now here's what I need you to see. If Jesus had arrived 2 days earlier and healed a sick Lazarus, the story would have been, Jesus heals the sick. That's a miracle, but it's a category of miracle people had seen before. They could have found a theological framework for it. They could have explained it. But a resurrection after 4 days? In Jewish understanding, 4 days was significant because it was believed the spirit departed the body completely by the 3rd day. By day 4, there was no medical ambiguity, no room for the skeptics to say he was only sleeping. This was death, unmistakable, final, past the point of human hope. And that is exactly what Jesus waited for. The delay was not cruelty. The delay was calibration. Jesus was not withholding healing. He was positioning a resurrection, a testimony so specific, so undeniable, so precisely targeted at the people who were watching, that it would require nothing less than what only God could do. Now bring this into your own story. There is a version of your marriage story that would have been fine. It would have happened on the timeline you wanted with the person you thought you wanted, and it would have been a good story. A normal story. The kind that people hear and say, "Oh, that's sweet." But there is another version, the one God is writing, that will be told in a room full of people who had lost hope. And it will not be told as a sweet story. It'll be told as evidence, as proof, as the thing someone points to when they're sitting in their own delay, in their own grief, wondering if God has forgotten them. Your delayed marriage journey is not just forming your character, it is forming your testimony. And your testimony is not for you. It is for the person who will hear it and decide, because of what you walked through and what God did, that they're going to hold on 1 more year. You cannot manufacture that testimony by arriving early. It only carries the weight it's meant to carry if the weight was real, if the pain was real, if the faith you held was genuine and costly. And the longer the delay, the louder the testimony. Not louder as in more dramatic, louder as in more reach. More people it can touch, more hopelessness it can dismantle. God is not wasting your delay. He is loading it. Blessing 3. The version of yourself being built right now is the one your future spouse actually needs, not the version that existed before the wait. Esther did not become queen overnight. Before the palace, before the crown, before she stood in the inner court and spoke words that would save an entire people. Esther went through 12 months of preparation. The text in Esther 2 verse 12 tells us that each young woman who was being considered for the position of queen underwent 12 months of beauty treatments, 6 months with oil of myrrh, 6 months with perfumes and cosmetics. Now, I want to be careful not to flatten this into a superficial metaphor about getting pretty, because this wasn't about surface beauty. In the ancient Persian context, this was a process of total refinement, of becoming something, of being shaped physically, culturally, relationally, for a role that would require everything she had. And here's what strikes me about this passage. Esther did not resist the process. She did not skip ahead. She did not spend 12 months resenting the preparation and wishing it were already the day of presentation. The text says she received the favor of everyone who saw her, which tells us that she was present in the process, not simply enduring it. Think about what Esther was being prepared for, not just for a marriage that would place her inside a palace at the exact moment her people faced annihilation, for a marriage that required her to have the wisdom to navigate a dangerous king, the courage to break protocol and approach him uninvited, and the strategic intelligence to present her case in a way that moved the most powerful man in the empire to act on her behalf. That Esther was not available at the beginning of the 12 months. She had to be built. Here's the honest truth about relationships that form before the necessary preparation is done. They're not wrong because they happen too early. They're difficult because one or both people are still carrying unresolved versions of themselves, patterns, wounds, defaults that the marriage then has to absorb. And marriages can survive that. Many do. but they carry a weight in the foundation that doesn't have to be there. Your future spouse needs the version of you that this season is producing, not the earlier version, the one who was still operating out of fear of abandonment or still seeking validation from a partner that could only truly come from God, or still confusing intensity with intimacy. That version of you would have brought things into a marriage that would have made it harder. Not impossible, but harder. The version of you that is being built right now, through the solitude, through the disappointments, through the places where you've had to confront yourself honestly and choose differently. That version is going to walk into a marriage with something the earlier version never had. A self that is not desperate. A self that can love from fullness rather than need. A self that has learned to be present in a process rather than always straining toward the outcome. That is not a small thing to bring to a marriage. That is the foundation on which a lasting one is built. Blessing 4. God is using this season to clarify what you actually need, not just what you thought you wanted. There's a moment in 1 Kings 19 that stops me every time I read it. Elijah has just had his greatest prophetic victory at Mount Carmel, calling down fire from heaven, defeating 450 prophets of Baal in front of all of Israel. It was the defining moment of his ministry. And then Jezebel sends him a message, "I'm going to kill you by this time tomorrow." And Elijah ran. He ran into the wilderness and sat under a juniper tree and asked God to let him die. Not the behavior you'd expect from the man who had just called down fire from the sky. But here's what God did in response. He didn't rebuke Elijah. He didn't give him a theological correction. He sent an angel who touched him and said, "Arise and eat." There was bread and water waiting for him. After Elijah slept and ate and slept again, the angel came back and said, "Arise and eat, because the journey is too great for you." And then God led him to a cave on Mount Horeb, and he asked him a question. "What are you doing here, Elijah?" This question is everything, because it forced Elijah to articulate his actual state. Not his public state, not his ministry state, but his honest, exhausted, frightened interior state. And out of that honest articulation, God gave him what he actually needed. Not what he had asked for, which was death, and not what he had previously pursued, which was fire and spectacle. God gave him a gentle voice, a new assignment, a companion named Elisha. I want to ask you something that I think the delayed marriage journey is uniquely positioned to surface. Do you actually know what you need in a partner? Not the list you made, not the categories, spiritually mature, kind, driven, attractive. I mean the real requirements, the things that without them, you will slowly feel unknown in your own home. The way you need to be spoken to in conflict. The kind of presence you need when you're struggling. The places where you need someone to lead and the places where you need them to follow. The things that are not about preference but about your actual wiring. Most people enter relationships not knowing the answer to these questions. Not because they're shallow, but because those answers only surface under pressure. You don't know what you need until you've experienced the ache of its absence. You don't know you need someone who asks good questions until you've spent years being with people who never ask them. You don't know you need peace until you've been in enough relationships that felt exciting but kept you anxious. The delay is the excavation. It is God taking you to your own version of Mount Horeb and asking, "What are you doing here? What are you actually looking for? What is it you actually need?" And the people who have done this work arrive at marriage with a clarity that cannot be faked and cannot be rushed. They are not choosing a partner based on availability or chemistry alone. They're choosing based on a deep, honest knowledge of themselves, the kind that only comes from time spent with God in the wilderness, when the fire and spectacle are gone and all that's left is the quiet voice asking the honest question. Blessing 5. The depth of gratitude that a delayed marriage produces is a protection that an easy path cannot provide. Let me take you to Luke chapter 7. A woman came into a Pharisee's house while Jesus was reclining at dinner. She was known in the city as a sinner, which is the text's way of indicating a specific kind of social shame. She came in uninvited, stood behind Jesus at his feet, and began to weep. She wet his feet with her tears and wiped them with her hair and poured expensive perfume over them. The Pharisee, watching this, was scandalized. He said to himself, "If this man were really a prophet, he would know who is touching him and what kind of woman she is." And Jesus told him a story. Two men owed money to a moneylender. One owed 500 denarii. One owed 50. Neither could pay. The lender forgave both debts. Jesus asked, "Which of them will love him more?" The Pharisee said, "I suppose the one who had the bigger debt forgiven." And Jesus said, "You're right." Then he turned to the woman and said, "Her many sins have been forgiven, and that is why she loved much. But the one who has been forgiven little loves little." I want to hold this principle carefully because it is not just about sin and forgiveness. It is about the relationship between the depth of the need and the depth of the gratitude. The woman who loved much did not love much because she was more emotional than the Pharisee. She loved much because she knew what she had been given. The gap between where she was and what she received was so large that it could not be minimized. It could not be taken for granted. Every time she thought about it, the love rushed back in. Now think about the person who gets what they prayed for after years of faithful, painful, costly waiting. Think about what they bring into that marriage on day one. Not just gratitude, not just appreciation in the polite sense, but a bone-deep awareness of what they have been given. A refusal to take ordinary moments for granted. A Sunday morning making coffee together, a conversation that goes long, a hand reached for in the dark, because they know from years of that specific absence exactly what it costs to live without those things. That awareness is a protection. Because one of the most dangerous things that can happen in marriage is the slow death of appreciation. When what was once a gift becomes an assumption. When the person beside you slowly becomes invisible because the extraordinary has become routine. The person who waited a long time does not fall into that trap as easily. Not because they are better, but because they have memory. They have a before. And the before is so different from the after that they cannot stop being grateful. The delayed marriage journey is building in you an engine of gratitude that will sustain your marriage through seasons that would otherwise hollow it out. It is building in you a love that knows its own price and therefore holds what it has been given with both hands.